This is music, and this is a cat. Welcome to a vinyls only edition of First Impressions. In the first two videos on this channel, I showed you two considerable hauls of CDs and vinyls. And a lot of those were actually blind buys. There were more blind buy CDs than blind buy vinyls, but there were some blind buy vinyls. And I've been doing these videos kind of following up on those blind buys and sharing my first impressions. So in this video, I'm going to show only blind buy vinyls, and these are also going to be the last vinyls because I've actually managed to chew my way through all the blind buy vinyls. But anyways, let's just get down to it. So the first one to show is this one here, FM, and that's the label, not the band, Coast to Coast. So that is a comp that contains a number of different 80s hard rock bands. The only artist I knew on this one, that was Magnum. I didn't know any of the other artists. So yeah, blind buy pretty much. Now, most of it is from 86. There's 86 and 87 actually. That's when these songs are from. So it's mid to late 80s, feel good hard rock. So lots of keyboard bursts and catchy melodies and all that good stuff. Now, of course, a lot of people say, "Oh, be careful with blind buying vinyls because they're really expensive." This one was not expensive because it was nowhere near mint. It has a lot of visible scratches, but not that many audible scratches. There are two audible scratches, and that's unfortunately in the first track on side 1 and then in the first track on side 2. The first track on side 1 is Dark Star's Voice of America, which is pretty good. It's a feel good, uplifting hard rock song, and that applies to most of the songs here. The only, I would say, kind of weak song, in my opinion, on this album is actually the second song on side A, Jack Green's American Fool. All the other songs are good to great, I would say. Excess, Better Late Than Never is a great hard rock song. Same thing goes for Magnums. That's the next one. How Far, Jerusalem. You got a pretty cool song by White Sister. There's an okay song called Shoot for the Heart by Karen Lawrence. State Trooper is on here with a song called Stand Me Up, which is it's okay. It's not the best song. It's not the worst song either. And there is a song called Call of the Wild by Sabu. Not the wrestler. I think there's a pro wrestler called Sabu. And I don't know, it could be him. I don't think so though. No, it's not. But it's called Call of the Wild, and that one is previously unreleased. All the other tracks on this compilation are from different, albums, but not the Sabu one. But yeah, so this is I would say like a fun listen. You could sort of put it on your turntable if you're, I don't know, throwing like an 80s themed party, or if you just want to, hang out and have a good time, listen to some uplifting, nostalgic 80s hard rock. So yeah, that's Coast to Coast FM, the compilation. Okay, the next one here, Blackfoot, and I still haven't figured out how to pronounce the title, Shioko or something. This is hard rock with some metal, shall we say, features every now and then. And this one is actually, I would say, a very, very good hard rock album. It has sort of the 80s hard rock feel to it. There are some kind of cheesy synth keyboard parts, but what you're gonna do, from the 80s. They had to make do with what they had, right? The best song for my money on this album is White Man's Land, which is a cool, groovy, hard rock song with some southern rock elements to it. But I would say there's no weak song on this album for my money. There's some that are better than others. As I said, there's some cheesy parts on it. The vocals are really, really cool. They are kind of like along the lines of Graham Bonnet. Not quite as good, but almost, I would say. So I think this is a great, enjoyable 80s hard rock album with a couple of even metal elements to it. So Blackfoot, Siogo. The next one is kind of weird. Denner's Trick Back. So that's of course Michael Denner of Merciful Fate, and I think he was on some early King Diamond albums too. Fame. Now this one is kind of interesting because this band is really a cover band. It's really your dad, or maybe even your granddad, depending on how old you are, your dad's or granddad's garage rock cover band. And they somehow managed to release an album with cover songs on it. And it's not bad. It's not bad at all. I mean, they picked some pretty cool songs. There's I Got the Fire, Montrose, except, I don't know if you probably can't see it. But here it just says, I Got Fire. So that's fun. Typo there. Don't You Let Me Down. Polecat Woman is on here. Hearts on Fire. Ethiopia. Some pretty good cover songs. Most of these, I would say, are rendered in a sort of groovy southern rock fashion, which is pretty cool. But it's a cover band, and they ended up releasing an album with some cover songs on them. I mean, again, I think this would be maybe, if your dad or your granddad, or I don't know, some other boomer that if they like hard rock, and if they like Merciful Fate, this could be a good gift for them. Also, if you're like a King Diamond, Merciful Fate completionist, and you're interested in all this kind of sister projects and so on and so forth, I would say, this one would be a cool addition to your collection. But it's not an essential in any metal collection, but it's fun. I enjoyed listening to it. Now, I read a couple of reviews of this one, and most of them say, yeah, it's fun. It gets boring towards the end, and it's full of cover songs, blah, blah, blah. And they say the only original track on this album is Wasteland, because it's written by Michael Denner and the vocalist, who just goes by the name Bertel, which is kind of fun. However, even Wasteland is not an original track. Wasteland is actually Denner covering Denner, because Wasteland is a song of this Zoser Mez album, which was a Sherman Denner project. And I think, as far as I remember, Wasteland was the only song written by Michael Denner on this album here. I would say, this one is a more interesting addition to your collection. If you're a metal fan, a metal music collector. Also, if you are a King Diamond / Merciful Fate completionist, you definitely need to get your hands on this one, more so than the Denner's Trickback one. But I kind of like the connection that, Battle also sings on some of the songs here, including Wasteland. So you got like a linkage between, King Diamond and Merciful Fate in this one, because you have Denner and Sherman singing on it, playing guitars on it. You have Battle singing on it. You also have Kenny Lübke singing some of the songs. It's kind of an interesting project here. And then you have Wasteland on this one, which is then covered on the Denner's Trick Back album. So I kind of like that connection. Kind of complicated. But this is not, by the way, this is not a first impression. I just wanted to sort of to show it to you guys, and kind of highlight just this fun connection that the song Wasteland that people think is an original song. That's actually Michael Denner covering himself. But Denner's Trick Bag, your dad's cover band or your granddad's cover band ended up releasing an album with some pretty cool cover versions. Not an essential addition to a metal collection as such, but if you are a King Diamond / Merciful Fate completionist, you might want to pick it up. The next one here, Doro, Force Majeure. I mean, of course, I'm familiar with Doro's work. I have some of her later releases in digital format. But, you know, this one, again, wasn't too expensive, so I decided, you know, I'll pick it up. I mean, it's Doro. She's great. And yeah, she is. This is a very good album. There are a lot of songs on it. There are like 13 tracks on it. It opens up kind of weird, I would say. It opens up with, let's see if you can see it, right? A Whiter Shade of Pale. That song, right? A cover version of that song. And I gotta say, right? Normally people say, be careful with blind buying vinyls. I mentioned that before, right? I mean, this one was not expensive. However, had this not been a blind buy, had I sort of gone to the record store and actually listened to it, the first track, I would not have bought this one because I hate, I'm sorry to say, a Whiter Shade of Pale. I always disliked that song, even when I was a kid. Now, this version is better because it's a rock version, but I would not have picked it up because I would have gone, what? That's bad. And it is, I think, a weird and weak way to start off an album, but that aside, this is a great album. It has great metal songs on it. Doro sounds great. Excellent riffage. You know, great sense of melody. Just super awesome songs. And there's some ballads on here. And as some of you know, I dislike ballads with a vengeance. But the ballads that are on this one are good. And one thing that I really like is the vocal delivery. Like, Doro has this particular voice quality. You know, she's a rock belter and her voice has almost kind of like a husky quality to it. But on those ballads, she sounds really vulnerable, and I really like that. Her voice sounds vulnerable. So actually, I would say a great 80s metal album with some very good ballads on it, and a very, very strange way to open the album, to be sure. And then the last one is another oddity. It's the Napalm Death Grind Crusher tour with the misogynistic, bondage themed and demon and kind of like almost pornographically themed cover art, which is misogynistic, as I said, and completely not Napalm Death. But that's because this is, of course, it's a bootleg from the Grind Crusher tour, and there's no track list on it, but they do, I mean, they introduce the tracks and so on and so forth. As I said, bootleg, so the sound quality is not great. It's recorded, I think, from somewhere in the audience, so sometimes you can hear people talking over the music and some guy laughs at some point. And sometimes the music even cuts out just for a split second. But I mean, it's, yeah, bootleg, not good production, has those issues. But it sounds better than I would expect a bootleg to sound. But again, it did remind me why I normally don't buy live bootlegs. I'm not interested in them. This is not I'm not an audiophile, and this is not an audiophile thing. If you're an audiophile, this will be torture. I like it, listening to it with all its flaws, and it wasn't too expensive because it does capture the intensity of a true grindcore underground concert. And what's kind of fun is to fill the space on side 2, instead of just a bunch of dead wax, they just added some not live Napalm Death songs, right? So true bootleg here, and it opens just fading in. I mean, on side A, just fading into a song. But As I said, it captures the intensity, and the bootleg quality means that whenever they go into blast beat sections, it just sounds like a steam engine just rolling over everything and everyone, which is then kind of ruined with some dude just laughing over the music. But anyways, this is an oddity. It's a fun thing to have in my collection. I'm not gonna listen to it that often, but I will say I appreciate the intensity that it actually captures. A true underground bootleg release. And as I said, I don't normally really collect bootlegs. This one was just too weird to pass up on when I saw it for the third time in the record store. I was too scared to pick it up the two times before that when I saw it because of the misogynistic cover artwork. But hey, good fun. Anyways, that was me rambling on about some blind buy vinyls. Thanks for watching.